Come sit and listen to the stories of our strange, dark world of Uteria. So the other night, we talked about the whole world of Uteria. But now, let's look a little closer to home. Let's talk about our city. Let me pour you a drink, and you keep your ears open, and maybe you'll walk away knowing a bit more about the smoke-stained jewel we call Kowal. Don't mind if I sip along the way. I find my tongue loosens nicely with ale, and my memories come out smoother as well. Now, let's start with the name, the Grey City. Some outsiders think that's a poet's touch, but it's not. It's the truth. Everything here is gray. The skies are gray with smoke and smog from the chimneys. The streets, slick with rain and ash, are gray cobblestones worn down by centuries of boots and blood. Even our morals, if you ask me, run gray. You'll find as many folk helping their neighbor as you'll find selling them out for a copper. But that's Kowal. It isn't pretty. It isn't kind. But, by gods, it's alive. You want history? Well, we've got plenty of it. Kowal wasn't built on dreams or temples. No. She was built on iron. Iron in the hills, iron in the veins of the people, iron in the hands of the workers. Back in the day, this city was the envy of the East. Our foundries and forges turned day and night, pounding out swords and plows, hinges and gears. Uthgard's kings came knocking for our tritium, the hardest metal in Atheles, and we sold it. Oh, we sold it gladly. The Zadeku lords grew fat on it, the unions wrestled their share of it, and the common folk at least had bread to put on the table. Those were the golden days. Or so the old stories say. But like iron left in the rain, even the strongest city rusts. These days, well, it depends on where you stand. If you're up in the walled tower, you'll think Kowal's a noble duchy, banners hanging proud, councilors prattling about law and trade. But down in the squats, where I was born, you'll know the truth. Life is hard in this forgotten ward. It's where I learned the ways of the city, how to fight, how to hide, and how to laugh when the world tries to crush me. Now, don't get me wrong. I love this city. If I didn't, I'd have left long ago. But loving Kowal is like loving a drunk father. He might slap you around. He might waste every coin. But you still hope, one day, he'll sober up and remember how to care. That's why I run the Alley Cat. My tavern in the heart of it all. A place for workers to drink, for unions to whisper plans, for wanderers to find their next job. And maybe, just maybe, for a revolution to be born. Before we focus on that thought, let's talk history first. Kowal was never built on temples or noble ideals. She was built on iron. Back when the Warren River was just another muddy vein through the Eastlands, folk found ore in the hills. Iron, enough to make the dwarves jealous. And then tritium, the hardest metal in Atheles, strong enough to make a king's sword sing. And when the world wants what you've got, you make coin. That's how Kowal grew. Not from prayer, not from art, but from fire and hammer, forge and sweat. The Zadeku family ruled then as they do now. First barons, now dukes, their tower a symbol of wealth and power. We were the jewel of the East, smoke by day, fire by night, and for a time it seemed the city would never fall. But time is not a kind lover. Wars drained us, plagues gutted us. The Great War, the disappearance, famine, sickness, you name it. Kowal endured it, and every time she came out weaker. The forges still burn, but the glory's gone. The old jewel had turned into tarnished steel, and the Grey City is what she is today. And still, we endure. That's another of Kowal's gifts, endurance. Take a walk through her wards, and you'll see what I mean. Old Town first, where the dwarves laid the first stones. Solid, proud, though age gnaws at the edges. Then West Garden, once full of poets and dreamers, now hollowed out by plague. Taxes choke it while empty houses rot. The squats, my home. They were meant to be temporary dwellings for newcomers, neat little square houses until they found their feet. But the city stopped caring, and now it's the slums, a place of no taxes, no oversight, no help. Forgotten, they call us. But forgotten folk learn to fend for themselves. You won't find more grit, more laughter than in the squats. Climb higher, and you'll reach grand heights, where the rich people pretend all's well, sipping wine while the city rots beneath them. Woodward bustles with trade. Dwarf Town still carries the pride of stout folks who built the city's bones. The chimneys never sleep, smoke belching out from the forges day and night, and the waterfront, well, that's where trade and smuggling both flow like cheap ale. Each ward a world of its own, stitched together into this patchwork city of ours. And ruling over it all, the walled tower. Gods, but it looks like an old sword left out in the rain, doesn't it? Tall, proud, but pitted and dull. Duke Medivh Zedeku hides in there with his house of 47 lords, ladies, and guildmasters. They call it governance. I call it squabbling over coin. The Steel Guard protects the Duke. The City Guard keeps the peace. And the Ministry? Those fanatics hunt down anyone foolish enough to show a spark of magic. Titles for the lords, cudgels for the poor. That's the balance they keep. Yet, for all that rot at the top, Kowal's heart still beats. Her people make sure of it. Dwarves with soot in their beards, farmers dragging corn from the fields, wanderers chasing coin, thieves chasing purses, and beggars chasing bread. Every species, every kind of soul you can think of. Suspicious, yes. Fearful of magic, who wouldn't be when the Uthgard's cudgel waits to crush your skull? But still proud, still stubborn, still laughing through cracked teeth. And in this city, power doesn't just sit in the tower. The unions, now there's the real lifeblood. Metal workers, carpenters, farmers, shipbuilders, you name it, there's a union. Stubborn bastards, all of them. They run the city, keep the city alive, and every 3 years they elect 3 hands to sit in the house. Supposed to be the people's voice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But without the unions, Kowal would have collapsed long ago. Nobles don't care if the forges run or the fields are plowed, but the unions do, and I respect that. Course, not all power's clean. Crime seeps through Kowal like ale through a cracked cask. The Melkowski family, smugglers turned lords of the underworld. The Companions and the Shivs Thieves Guild with more reach than the Council. Mercenary bands like the Sons of Silence selling their swords to the highest bidder. And then the Red Brotherhood. Assassins, shadows in the night. Maybe just stories mothers tell their brats. But me, I believe in shadows. I've drunk with enough of them. Now, let me bring it close. The Alley Cat. That's my place. A tavern in the squats, walls rough but steady, tables worn from the elbows and spilled drink. Folk come there for ale, stew, maybe a pipe of Varga leaf just to take the edge off. But the Alley Cat's more than just a tavern. It's a crossroads. Wanderers trading tales, smugglers making deals, unions whispering plans. A place where folk can breathe, if only for a night. And sometimes, just sometimes, where sparks of change catch flame. I hear the whispers, pass along the names, light the sparks where I can. Don't mistake me for a saint. I run the place for coin, too. But when you've felt a guard's cudgel crack across your skull, when you've lost an eye to their zeal, you learn that coin isn't enough. You start thinking about justice, about freedom, about revolution. So why stay? Why not take to the road, live free as I once did? A fair question. I was a wanderer once, ran with the guild, saw strange lands, fought monsters, tasted freedom. But every road led me back here. Kowal's in my blood, whether I like it or not. And I believe in her people. The squats taught me grit. The unions taught me stubbornness. The streets taught me laughter, even in pain. This city can rise again, not under Uthgard's black and red banners, not under the Duke's greedy gaze, but under her own people. That's why I stay. That's why I fight. What future lies ahead of Kowal? Hard to say. The war with Tyrion keeps Uthgard's eye elsewhere, gives us room to breathe. The nobles squabble, the unions dig in, and the poor keep scraping by. Change comes slow, but when it comes, I see it in the eyes of the young, in the songs sung in the taverns, in the fists raised when the guards go too far. We're on the edge. Kowal could sink deeper into the gray, choking on smoke and fear. Or she could burn bright again, a fire in the east that no army can snuff out. Me, I'll keep tending the flames, one pint and one whisper at a time. And what about you? Maybe it's time you did more than drink and listen. Maybe it's time you spark a little rebellion, even a small one. Because this city, its people, its history, ugly, proud, broken, beautiful, Kowal. Don't let her smoke fool you. There's life in these streets yet. And if you've the heart to stay, if you lend a hand instead of just talking, you might even come to love her too. Now, drink up. The night's young and Kowal's always got another story to tell.